Better late than never, it's time to look at the rest of this year's Oktoberfest beers. Hello and welcome back to the channel, and yes, today I'm finally taking a look at the remaining Oktoberfest beers from 2024 that I have not yet covered on this channel. I started out this year saying, you know what, I did lots of Oktoberfest content last year. I did the big six, followed by that big box that was in Lidl, plus all of the other Lidl and Aldi extras that people bought out, like some of the Weiss beers, and it went on and on and on. And I thought, as much as I love those styles of beer, I thought the content's done, let's leave it for a little bit and maybe revisit it next year. However, I then bought a case of this year's Oktoberfest beer from Paulaner, and safe to say it was a disappointment. I did a video on that just to let people know, basically, if you're going to buy a case of one, maybe don't get theirs this year, which was a shock because the previous year it had been the best. As a result of that video, people then said, are you really not doing them this year? We want to know which one is the best. And I thought, well, the nicest way to do that, instead of me going through rabbiting on about all of these beers, exactly as I'm doing now, incidentally. However, it was clear from the comments of that video that from this year, two beers were the standout people's choice. The Augustiner, of which there is probably no surprise, and the Lowenbrau, which, I'll be honest, was a bit of a surprise to me. I really didn't think that was going to be up there. So I put those two head to head, basically to work out, are they both very good? And actually, yes, they were both very good, and which I thought was the best. My preference was with the Augustiner, but I can understand why maybe the majority of people this year would go for the Lowenbrau. And then as a result of that video, everyone said, but we really want to know what you think about the other three, so here we are. And after that very long introduction, we are going to do it. So I have got the Spaten, I've got the Hofbräu, which, to be fair, a lot of people did say they liked. And then I've got the Hacker-Pschorr, which, to be fair, isn't a true fest beer. In previous years, they've released them with those swing top caps, and, well, I was quite critical about those because the beers that I had last year from them were poor, to say the least, even though they are generally one of the best producers. This, though, is an Oktoberfest Marzen, so it's not a fest beer. It is still an approved Oktoberfest style, the Marzen, but it's not a fest beer. It is distinctly different. So look, I'm going to open it, I'm going to taste it, I'm going to let you know what I think, but I don't really think we can call it a contender for the best Oktoberfest beer, given that this isn't the same as these. They will have done their own, but maybe it's only at Oktoberfest this year and not available in bottles. So let's get pouring. So here we are. What can we say? Well, the one I poured first, the Spaten, looks slightly less good than the two that I poured second and third. Maybe that's the beer, maybe that's just the time that has passed. What are the ABVs we're dealing with here, though? The Spaten coming in at 5.9%, which I believe is the same as some of the others, but I'll be honest, I now can't remember. 6.3 for the Hofbräu. Wow, that is, I think, the strongest of the festival so far. And then the Hacker-Pschorr Marzen, Oktoberfest Marzen, coming in 5.8. So I'm going to cover the two, what I'm going to call proper fest beers. You know, they are fest beers. This is a Marzen, these are fest beers. These are the ones that we are kind of comparing apples to apples for with the other three that we've already talked about. The Marzen will come at the end, and I'll just talk about whether I like it. There's a good chance this is my favourite of the lot, but I don't think it counts in the strict comparison terms. So Spaten, let's do this. What is your profession? Aroma's a little bit foggy, but it's got some nice malt character. Smells sweet, smells spicy, smells a bit like what I recall from the Lowenbrau, but just maybe a little bit less intense. But, you know, it's nice, it's nice. The Hofbräu, it's not got that very almost jammy synthetic sweetness that the Spaten and the Lowenbrau had or have. It's much more dry, crisp, it's sweet, but it's distinctly biscuity. It smells very, very good. I've got to say, like, I'm very much in favour of what I'm experiencing right there. And finally, the Marzen aroma, completely different as you would imagine. I mean, just look at the colour of it in comparison, but it's got some sweetness, it's got some deeper, richer tones, but what's really setting it apart is some kind of dark berries, black currant, bit of cherry in there. Like it's a distinctly different set of aromas coming through. But anyway, let's get into it, shall we? Cheers, happy late Oktoberfest. Okay, I had a few shouts for Spaten being the best. Some people really adamant, and you know what? I think you're wrong, but it's a damn sight better than last year's. It is genuinely very enjoyable. It's edging on the bitter a bit too much. Not as bad as the Paul Arne did, but it's still just a step too far. It's kind of just swinging slightly the wrong way. Like, it's a touch too bitter with not enough core body sweetness. The aroma was pretty sweet. There is a bit of residual, but I'm not getting that full cakey, bready, just, well, yeah, big doughy pretzel indulgence that I'm really looking for in a fest beer. It's nice, touch too sharp is what I'm going to say. The Hofbräu Oktoberfest beer. Cheers. Oh, that good. Okay, that is very, very nice. It's still sweet, it's a bit more reserved. You can see more of the core kind of, you know, the grain, the bready nature of it. It's not as strong as some of the others though, for sure, especially the previous two that we looked at in terms of choosing a winner from the People's Choice. And I mean, it's masking its ABV wonderfully. No way would I have shouted that at 6.3. That's an interesting one. All of the things that I want are there, and they're in the right relative amounts to each other, but I just want them all bringing up a little bit. Like, it just feels a bit closed off, a little bit reserved, and that may be part of its charm, but show me more of that breadiness. You don't have to go all in on the sweetness. It's just, yeah, all I'm really picking up on in comparison to the Spaten is you can see the water profile, the mineral water. I talk about it all the time in German beer, and it's there, and it's brilliant. It's fantastic. It's beautifully poised, but it's not being supported by some of those slightly bigger flavours that it could be. The spice is probably about right. We need to bring everything else up, so maybe, yeah, a touch. It's not overly spiced. It doesn't feel like it's attacking, but it's the only thing that I'm really sat remembering after the fact, if that makes sense. But you know what, from my point of view, I'm happy with the order in which I've done these videos, because I do believe that the previous two definitely were better than these, and I think Paul Arne's gone from first to last in my mind, because, well, yeah, it's definitely not better than either of these two, at least the case that I had. And there might be another video where we delve a bit more into that, looking at batches from different places, but still waiting to see. Anyway, on to this, the Hacker-Pschorr Oktoberfest Marzen, original filtered fest beer. They call it a fest beer, but it's a Marzen, not a proper rich fest beer. Anyway, let's give it a go. Cheers. You know what? I spent a lot of time last year criticising Hacker-Pschorr for putting their beer in swing top bottles because all the carbonation had leaked out of it, and it just, yeah, there wasn't enough carb in there. It was too flat. So is this. Interestingly, I can see a load of small bubbles going up from the glass, but to be honest, nice caramel, fruity tones are in there. It's deeper, it's darker, some kind of, you know, pumpernickel bread kind of starting to show through. Maybe not as much as you get in, say, a Schwarzbier or something like that, or a Doppelbock, but it's, yeah, it's nice. It's probably a nice break from the original fest beers. If you've been drinking those for a few days during Oktoberfest, it brings you something else, but it's not too heavy. But I don't know that I prefer it. I'm trying to work out why, because that stylistically for me would normally be an absolute win, but it's the physical experience, it's the tactile nature again, because the carbonation's just not quite right once again from Hacker-Pschorr, at least for me. Again, personal preference. Some people love super low carb, low fizz beers. I don't like high spritz, but I like a nice balance, and, well, yeah, the Hacker-Pschorr isn't that. Out of these three, the Hofbräu absolutely takes it, but that Spaten ain't bad. That bitterness, though, still just kicks a little bit at the end and makes you go, this is slightly more generic lager, slightly more towards that Pilsner edge. The Hofbräu is definitely a proper fest beer this year, but not as much as that Augustiner or, shockingly, the Löwenbräu. Those two really were the star ticket. So my opinion hasn't been changed, but, well, looks like I'm in for a good night with 3 Oktoberfest beers, and we are just still in October at the time of filming. It probably won't be by the time you see this video, but hey, never mind. And that really is all I've got to say about it. So as always, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it. If you haven't already, subscribe if you'll be so kind, and I'll catch you next time. Cheers.